We're going to use Linux to install a plugin into the RICOH THETA camera. Thanks to Utopia for contributing this tip. Utopia discovered that by going to the plugin store in a web browser, you can get the URL of the plugin and substitute the final portion with APK. Once you have this, you'll be able to download the APK file, which you can then use Linux to install in the RICOH THETA camera with ADB. After downloading the APK from the plugin store to the local Linux laptop, connect a RICOH THETA camera to the Linux laptop with a USB cable. As we're using ADB for this process, you could also connect with Wi-Fi. However, this tutorial covers the use of a USB cable and running ADB over the USB cable. The RICOH THETA camera runs a version of Linux inside of the camera. Let's use ADB to check out the devices that's connected to the Linux laptop. If ADB devices does not show the RICOH THETA camera attached to your Linux computer, it might be because the RICOH THETA camera is not in developer mode. You might need to join the free partner program to put the camera into developer mode. The default file name for all the plugins you download from the plugin store in this way will be APK. If you attempt to install a file that is just called APK without an extension, you'll get an error message from ADB. Let's change the file name. I'm going to change the file name from APK to wireless.apk. Hopefully the .apk extension will now allow me to install the plugin into the RICOH THETA X camera with ADB. The command is ADB install and the name of the file. So ADB install wireless.apk. It's going to work and it's been successful. I'm going to use a free tool called Visor, V-Y-S-O-R, to display the RICOH THETA screen onto my local computer so I can set the permissions of the plugin on the RICOH THETA camera. With the RICOH THETA X, I'm going to run ADB shell am start -a to set the settings. We can now see the settings screen on the RICOH THETA X. I'm going to inspect the application settings, look at the permissions. So the camera, microphone, and storage have not been allowed by default with this method of using ADB to install the plugin on the RICOH THETA camera. I'm going to select allow for the microphone, the storage, and the camera. With these settings enabled on the RICOH THETA camera, I should be able to set the plugin. So I'm going to open the plugin and attempt to configure the settings. So this is wireless live streaming. We're going to need the the YouTube server URL and the stream key for my channel. The plugin is running fine on the RICOH THETA X. I'm going to swap it with the RICOH THETA Z1 so you can see how the plugin installation works from Linux into the RICOH THETA Z1, a model without a LCD screen. Although the RICOH THETA Z1 does not have a physical screen on the body of the camera, it does have a virtual screen which you can display with Visor. So the actual workflow is exactly the same as the RICOH THETA X. In fact, it's a little easier since you can actually tap on the settings icon on the RICOH THETA Z1 virtual screen. You can also uninstall plugins from the RICOH THETA Z1 camera or the other models using this interface. So I'm going to the app section. I've already installed the wireless live streaming in preparation for this video, so I'm going to uninstall it so you can see the installation process of the wireless live streaming plugin from Linux into the Z1 from the very beginning. Since you already have the settings screen available from the home screen of the RICOH THETA Z1, you don't need to use this command for ADB shell to start the settings. You can just do ADB install, and then after ADB install, you can go to the settings for this wireless live streaming plugin, enable the permissions. It's the same workflow as for the RICOH THETA X. So that it's been installed, we go back to Visor. We can now see which applications have been installed. These applications are the plugins. And the last one is the wireless live streaming plugin. The permissions, because we use ADB, they're not enabled by default. So you do have to check on the camera, the microphone, and the storage. On the RICOH THETA Z1, you may have some problems with the virtual keyboard or copy and paste the characters that will need to input the stream key using this technique. What I'm going to do is stop the camera application, the default camera application that's running inside the camera, and that will enable me to take control of the virtual keyboard. So I'm going to look at running services under the developer options. So select running services, go to RICOH THETA Z1, name of the application. I'm going to stop the camera service, which will free up the resources that I will need to do copy and paste and also type in things into the keyboard. Now I can start the plugin. I have the Z1 connected to the internet with client mode. Drop in the server URL from YouTube. I'm just showing you the keyboard does work, either the virtual keyboard or the physical keyboard on my laptop. Copy the server URL over from YouTube if you're using YouTube to do the live event. For the initial test, I use 2K resolution because it's easier to get the stream going. I don't have to worry about bandwidth limitations, but since the stream health is pretty excellent, I'm going to try 4K now and do the test again with the RICOH THETA Z1 just to see what the resolution looks like. Okay, it's looking a little low still yet, but maybe it will start to get smarter about the stream, and the resolution is looking pretty good at 4K, so it'd be pretty usable for some type of event. The plugin appears to work completely fine with the installation from Linux. There are more steps involved, but again, this is probably for developers that want to do some testing with different types of plugins on the side and on their Linux workstation. So if you're a normal user, you probably want to use Windows or Mac. If you have any questions or experiences using Linux for software development with the RICOH THETA cameras, go to community.theta360.guide.